Try not to get a crazy thumbnail. Chapter 10, Demi Settles. And golly, I should have tried to get this, there we go, bookmark off before I opened up. Demi Settles. Mother, can I have a little serious conversation with you? Asked Demi. I just came from the store, so I still have my jacket on, but it feels good. It's cold, so that's why I look like I'm getting ready to go somewhere. Asked Demi one evening as they sat together enjoying the first fire of the season, while Daisy wrote letters upstairs and Josie was studying in the little library close by. Certainly, dear. No bad news, I hope. And Mrs. Meg looked up from her sewing with a mixture of pleasure and anxiety on her motherly face, for she dearly loved a good talk with her son and knew that he always had something worth telling. It will be good news for you, I think, answered Demi, smiling as he threw away his paper and went to sit beside her on the little sofa which just held two. Let me hear it then at once. I know you don't like the reporting and will be glad to hear that I've given it up. I'm very glad. It's too uncertain a business, and there's no prospect of getting on for a long time. I want you settled in some good place where you can stay and in time make money. I wish you liked the profession, but as you don't, any clean, well-established business will do. What do you say to a railroad office? I don't like it. A noisy, hurried kind of place. I know, with all sorts of rough men about. I hope it isn't that, dear. It could have been. But does bookkeeping in a wholesale leather business please you better? No, you'll get round-shouldered writing at a tall desk. And they say, once a bookkeeper, always a bookkeeper. How does a traveling agent suit your views? Not at all. With all those dreadful accidents and the exposure and bad food as you go from place to place, you're sure to get killed or lose your health. I could be a private secretary to a literary man, but the salary is small and may end any time. That would be better and more what I want. It isn't that I object to honest work of any kind, but I don't want my son to spend his best years grubbing for a little money in a dark office, or be knocked about in a rough and tumble scramble to get on. I want to see you in some business where your taste and talents can be developed and made useful, where you can go on rising and in time put in your little fortune and be a partner, so that your years of apprenticeship will not be wasted, but fit you to take your place among the honorable men who make their lives and work useful and respected. I talked it all over with your dear father when you were a child, and if he had lived, he would have shown you what I mean and helped you to be what he was. Let's see what he was. Mrs. Meg wiped away a quiet tear as she spoke, for the memory of her husband was a very tender one, and the education of his children had been a sacred task to which she gave her heart and life, and so far she had done wonderfully well, as her good son and loving daughter tried to prove. Demi's arm was round her now as he said in a voice so like his father's that it was the sweetest music to her ears. Mother dear, I think I have got just what you want for me, and it shall not be my fault if I don't mean the man you hope to see me. Let me tell you all about it. I didn't say anything till it was sure, because it would only worry you, but Aunt Jo and I have been on the lookout for it for some time, and now it has come. You know, her publisher, Mr. Tibber, is one of the most successful men in the business, also generous, kind, and the soul of honor, as his treatment of Auntie proves. Well, I've rather hankered for that place, for I love books, and as I can't make them, I'd like to publish them. That needs some literary taste and judgment. It brings you in contact with fine people and is an education in itself. Whenever I go into that large, handsome room to see Mr. Tibber for Aunt Jo, I always want to stay, for it's lined with books and pictures and famous men and women come and go. And Mr. Tibber sits at his desk like a sort of king, receiving his subjects, for the greatest authors are very humble to him, and wait his yes or no with anxiety. Of course, I've nothing to do with all that, and may never have, but I like to see it, and the atmosphere is so different from the dark offices and hurly-burly of many other trades where nothing but money is talked about, that it seems another world, and I feel at home in it. Yes, I'd rather beat the doormats and make fires there than be head clerk in the great hide and leather store at a big salary. Here Demi paused for breath, and Mrs. Meg, whose face had been growing brighter and brighter, exclaimed eagerly, "Just what I should like. Have you got it? Oh, my dear boy, your fortune is made if you go to that well-established and flourishing place where those good men, with those good men to help you along." "I think I have, but we mustn't be too sure of anything yet. I may not suit. I'm only on trial and must begin at the beginning and work my way up faithfully. Mr. Tibber was very kind and will push me on as fast as is fair to the other fellows, and as I prove myself fit to go up, I'm to begin the 1st of next month in the book room, filling orders. I go round and get orders and do various other things of the sort. I like it, and I'm ready to do anything with the books, if it's only to dust them," laughed Demi, well pleased with his prospects. For after trying various things, he seemed at last to have found the sort of work he liked, and a prospect that was very inviting to him. "You inherit that love of books from Grandpa. He can't live without them. I'm glad of it. Tastes of that kind show a refined nature and are both a comfort and a help all one's life. I'm truly glad and grateful, John, that at last you want to settle and have got such an entirely satisfactory place. Most boys begin much earlier, but I don't believe in sending them out to face the world so young, just when body and soul need home care and watchfulness. Now you are a man and must begin your life for yourself. Do your best and be as honest, useful, and happy as your father, and I won't care about making a fortune." A little sip to wet my whistle. Yep. Diet Pepsi. Or it's diet, but Pepsi Zero. Drinking zero. "I'll try, Mother. Couldn't have a better chance, for Tibber and Company treat their people like gentlemen and pay generously for faithful work. Things are done in a business-like way there, and that suits me. I hate promises that are not kept, and shiftless or tyrannical ways anywhere." Mr. Tibber said, "This is only to teach you the ropes, Brooke. I shall have other work for you by and by." Annie told him I had done book notices and had rather a fancy for literature. So though I can't produce any works of Shakespeare, as she says, I may get up some little things later. If I don't, I think it a very honorable and noble profession to select and give good books to the world, and I'm satisfied to be a humble helper in the work. I'm glad you feel so. It adds so much to one's happiness to love the task one does. I used to hate teaching, but housekeeping for my own family was always sweet, though much harder in many ways. Isn't Aunt Jo pleased about all this?" asked Mrs. Meg, already seen in her mind's eye a splendid sign with Tibber, Brooke and Company over the door of a famous publishing house. "So pleased that I could hardly keep her from letting the cat out of the bag too soon. I've had so many plans and disappointed you so often. I wanted to be very sure this time. had to bribe Rob and Ted to keep her at home tonight till I'd told my news. She was eager to rush down and tell you herself. The castles that dear woman has built for me would fill all Spain and have kept us jolly while we waited to know our fate. Mr. Tibber doesn't do things in a hurry, and when he makes up his mind, you are all right, and I feel that I am fairly launched. Bless you, dear, I hope so. It's a happy day for me because I've been so anxious, lest with all my care I've been too easy and indulgent, and my boy with his many good gifts might fritter his time away in harmless but unsatisfactory things. Now I'm at ease about you. If only Daisy can be happy and Josie give up her dream, I shall be quite contented. Demi let his mother enjoy herself for a few minutes while he smiled over a certain little Mormon my hands. Demi let his mother while he smiled over a certain little dream of his own. Not ready yet for the telling. Then he said, in the paternal tone which he unconsciously used when speaking of his sisters, I'll see to the girls, but I begin to think Grandpa is right in saying we must each be what God and nature makes us. We can't change it, only help to develop the good and control the bad elements in us. I have fumbled my way into my right place at last, I hope. Let Daisy be happy in her way, since it's a good and womanly one. If Nat comes home all right, I'd say, bless you, my children, and give them a nest of their own. Then you and I will help little Joe to find out if it is to be all the world's a stage or home sweet home for her. I suppose we must, John, but I can't help making plans and hoping they will come to pass. I see that Daisy is bound up in Nat, and if he is worthy of her, I shall let them be happy in their own way, as my parents let me. But Josie will be a trial, I foresee, and much as I love the stage and always did, I don't see how I can ever let my little girl be an actress, though she certainly has a great talent for it. Whose fault is that? Asked Demi, smiling as he remembered his mother's early triumphs and unquenchable interest in the dramatic efforts of the young people around her. Mine, I know. How could it be otherwise when I acted Babes in the Woods with you and Daisy before you could speak, and taught Josie to declaim Mother Goose in her cradle? Ah, me. The taste of the mother come out in her children, and she must atone for them by letting them have their own way, I suppose. And Mrs. Meg laughed even while she shook her head over the undeniable fact that the Marches were a theatrical family. And I think I must stop right there, guys. Today is January 20th, and all of us creative or knitting and crochet people know what that means. I'm supposed to have an unveiling of our 2020 project. Mine will be in its state of unfinishedness, but I'm still proud of what I got done. But I'm probably going to work on it all day, and it might be 11:59 p.m. tonight. I'll show it. Bye. I'll see you, I hope, at 5, live at 5 Eastern today. Much love. Mwah. Be sweet. Oh, I was about to forget. Be sweet. Don't be ugly.